How are you, Chris?
I'm good. What's happening, brother?
Well, I'm trying to figure out what the game plan was offensively for the Patriots yesterday. After you saw what you saw early in the game, protection-wise, it didn't change too much. Why?
I think because they were taking away the first looks. Tom Brady kind of prides himself on being able to get the ball out of his hand quickly. And I kept saying to myself the whole game, I have never seen him have to go to more second and third looks, especially in a game where he was under pressure the way that they did in this game. It was really telling. I mean, the more, they didn't always take the wide shot, so you couldn't always see completely what was happening down the field. But that was as much coverage on Gronkowski as I've ever seen in my life. Wade Phillips, God bless him, I think he just said, if one of these other guys beats me, they beat me. And it's the one big advantage that I think that the Broncos have is their ability to play that one-on-one coverage on the outside and match up. And then they just sort of sold out on trying to make sure that Gronkowski didn't beat him. I couldn't believe they didn't throw the 2-point conversion to Gronkowski. He was one-on-one in the back corner of the end zone, and after the catch he made on the touchdown before that was kind of the one time that I thought he'd freed himself up and didn't get a chance on that last one.
They went forward on fourth down with 6 minutes to go. Do you have any problem with that and not going for the field goal?
Yeah, I thought that was a 50-50 call. I really, you start trying to do the math and you start saying, well, they're going to have a touchdown anyway. But, as it played out, and not only did they get another opportunity, they got two more opportunities with the ball. Could you have anticipated that? I don't know. That was a hard one. I remember even sitting there thinking, I'm not even sure what I would have done right there.
What about Peyton Manning's role? What we've seen since he's come back, have we seen a different Peyton Manning in your eyes?
A little bit of what we saw with Elway at the end of that. Didn't you think that, he was still Peyton Manning, he was still John Elway. John Elway still had the helicopter move during that Super Bowl. There were still memorable deep passes. There were still things out there, but it wasn't the entirety of why that team was winning, and certainly it's not the entirety of it now. I thought they caught a big break with the weather, the fact that the weather didn't seem to be a huge factor in the game. But I really think this Super Bowl is now going to come down to, who can run the football. This is a game full of pass rushers. We are going to see tremendous cover skills from the linebackers. We're going to see tremendous interior pass rush by Carolina, exterior or outside pass rush on the part of the Denver Broncos, and some pretty good inside pass rushers as well. So you say, who can run the football here? And I don't think there's any question on its surface that you would say Carolina is going to have the advantage with that. Just the fact that Cam Newton alone, is going to be a part of that. But they go Jonathan Stewart 235, they go Mike Tolbert 250, they do Cam Newton at 250, and so it is going to be a powerful force to try and stop. The flip side of that, I think, is the fact that, okay, with all that one-on-one coverage ability and the ability to take away Greg Olsen probably in the same manner that they took away Gronkowski, can these outside receivers for Carolina get themselves open? That's sort of been their question throughout the course of it. And maybe it comes down to a guy like Ted Ginn Jr., a guy that has the kind of speed that he has. I thought even sort of, maybe had Patrick Peterson thinking a little bit last night. So some of the things to think about maybe for this one.
He's Cris Collinsworth, Football Night in America, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. When's the last time you saw a quarterback with the confidence of Cam Newton?
Never. I kept saying to myself last night, watching this guy, I go, Superman. The phrase Superman just kept coming to my head. And I tell you, when it first did, it's really easy to watch him run. And when you see him jump over the top and when you see him do some of the crazy things that he did. But I can remember watching him in the college championship game and thinking, is this guy ever going to be accurate enough as a passer to really be an NFL quarterback? And, that was the only question. I mean, physically and arm strength-wise and all that kind of stuff. So when he drove that ball in, was it Philly Brown that caught the long one about 70 yards or so? And when he dropped back and drove that ball in from about 35 yards away, I thought it was going to knock him down. That thing looked like it was shot out of a cannon. And I just remember at that moment going, what the heck is there that this kid can't do? And then he came back and he threw kind of a weird-looking interception a little bit later in the game. But it didn't bother him in the slightest. You could just see there's just like, oh, well, that was, whatever. That doesn't even count. Just his mentality is just so strong that it seems to carry the day.
Why is he polarizing?
I don't know. Honestly, I think because we are going through a generational thing a little bit. We are so used to, the Peyton Mannings and the Tom Bradys and people of the Bear Bryant ilk that all you ever do is praise your opponent and you just deflect, talk about your teammates, talk about and it's not that Cam doesn't do that, but there is a natural light that is going to shine upon him. I mean, he's a great-looking young man. He's a guy that has incredible confidence. If you've been to their practice sessions at all, you can see that it all sort of revolves around him. And he is the ringleader. He is Barnum. He is Bailey. He is whatever you want to say. And they're joking and goofing and having fun and laughing and high-fiving and chest bump in practice. And they're getting on each other, and it is a new generation of how to have fun playing football, and I think it's startling for a lot of people to watch it.
I know you're affiliated with Pro Football Focus. I'm curious what the role is with these grades, with these players at the Senior Bowl, and what that will mean for their draft status or stock.
Well, it's pretty amazing that they've sort of turned over to us to be the evaluator, at least on the broad scale of what's happening here. So Pro Football Focus grades and evaluates every player in college and NFL football. It's quite an undertaking, about 160 people or so that do this on a weekly basis. They have it ready for Monday morning or Sunday morning if they're the college teams and the clients. So about 21 NFL teams, both Super Bowl teams, now customers of ours. And a growing list of college teams, including some really major colleges. So I think it's a natural progression, but we really took it as a huge compliment that they've asked us to be the chief evaluators coming into the Senior Bowl. And, will it matter at the end of the day? The coaches will watch it as well, but it's sort of their first look, and that's the same thing we do for them on Monday morning getting ready for game plans.
Good to visit with you, Chris. Enjoy the off season, if there is such an off season. And are we going to see you at the Super Bowl?
Probably. I'm going back and forth on it. I've been to about 17 straight of them. We've got a couple of things that I'm trying to shift around a little bit, but it's hard for me to break my streak. And my boys, they think it's blasphemous to talk about not going to the Super Bowl. So we'll see.
All right. Thank you, bud.
All right, Dan. See you, pal.
That's Cris Collinsworth.